from what you've read in the book, can you tell me what is the concept of a true voice? What's your understanding of this?
My understanding, during our life we accumulate an image of ourselves. It is like a mask that we wore on our faces, and sadly most of the time, I believe, we start to think that this mask is me, that this mask is we, this mask. And we lost this connection with this spontaneous energy of creativity from within. And this is the case why our playing is full of anxiety, full of fight with our teachers, with ourselves. And we need to bring back what we lost, this spontaneous creativity like we probably had in childhood. But maybe this not only about this child state. It's like a feeling that you do something out of your heart. This is the true voice.
Improvised, in improvised manner. Mm-hmm. Well said, well said. I liked it very much. Let's talk about more. I mean, also the only thing I could probably add is that, as I described it as a false voice, why it's full of anxiety and uneasiness is because most of the time we construct that mask, this mask, this false voice, out of compulsive tension in the mind and body. When our teachers try to correct us, but without clear instructions, and we try our best to please our teacher. I'm trying my best. I hope I'm doing my best. I hope I'm playing musically and technically enough, or I hope I will please my teacher. I hope my teacher likes it. Oh my God, I'm so afraid to make a mistake. So it's a combination of fear and pleasing kind of energy.
If we play out of false voice, we probably even not being aware, we start to damage ourselves. When we do something out of false voice, we accumulate negative energy.
Practice, and sometimes we have to practice 8 hours a day. Whether you're aware of it or not, you keep repeating the same patterns of your trauma, of your issues, of your frustration, of your anxiety, of your disappointment. It's the same, and you put that energy into what you play. And we know what happened to me for 7 years for Coherent Estonia. That's a good manifestation of this. But you need to change that energy, and it looks like this white noise, You have to be very aware what kind of white noise you have when you intonate. When I was playing with a false voice, I was constantly haunted by a very prominent feeling that I'm not in the right place. Something profound is missing in my playing. This profound dissatisfaction and kind of frustration, very deep, like in the back of my being. There was also always there, that I'm not playing at my full potential, that I'm not playing how I'm supposed to play. So that's another sign of, if you feel like that, that also could be a sign that you have not found your true voice. So when we play, eventually there is image of the piece that we want to express and convey through music. But there is also our own voice as a narrative of the story that tells about music. So basically there are two things will be present in our playing. So what we want to achieve is that the story could be very, very beautiful, but if you are telling the story with a false voice, imagine, like, I don't know, listening to this audiobooks, right? When a computer is reading it. That false voice, which if it's kind of not natural, if it's uneasy, if it's full of anxiety and fear, it's going to be in the way of channeling music. So our goal is to completely take ourselves, our ego, our false voice, out of the way, to simply allow music to flow. And what you achieve is that you achieve improvised, very fresh, very easy and natural interpretation of music. And as well as the audience will perceive it as something easy and clear, transparent and simple and beautiful, rather than, again, uneasy, heavy, overwhelming, and I couldn't really understand what music was about. So eventually we want to erase this habit of starting playing with this default habitual tension in our mind and replace it with a feeling of, well, let's see what's gonna come true. Let's see what's gonna come through, because no matter how much fears I have in my ego, no matter how much I'm worried, I'm caring for how people will think about me, which we all have, that's not why I'm here. That's not why I came here to perform. I sacrifice, even though it's painful, I sacrifice that fear of making mistake, that fear of how people will think about me. I put it aside because I submit myself to music. Because I'm here to express something bigger than I am, to channel something much, much greater than I am. And this is why, as an artist, we need to eventually, after all this hard work, we need to come back to, why we're playing. It's basically our why. And for the audience, it's also why. They didn't come to the performance to listen to your hard work. They want to experience something transcendental, something beautiful from another realm. So remember how I said that when you play with your true voice, everything sounds very easy and simple and improvised. Now, this can only be achieved if you are not absorbed with yourself. Like, people say, spontaneity never happens if we take ourselves very seriously. So what I'm trying to say is that in the true voice, another definition of this would be a more distant voice. But not in a way distant from yourself, but distant from yourself. And so more objective rather than subjective. When you approach anything in a more objective way, as a narrative again of a story, you tell the story. You're not involved, you not lose yourself in that story. So this will give a very free, not careless, but not anxious approach to what you play. And so in meditation, most of the time, we need to kind of step back out of ourselves and start observing what's going on in our feelings, physical, mental, emotional. And so when you eventually, in the beginning, it could be you still observing it from your own perspective, from me, from Emma, or from further. But then at some point you reach this state where you're actually able to kind of separate yourself from your mind. I don't know how to explain. It's just you switch to just this very. It's like you observing yourself, or you out of your normal self. And because our cells usually we're glued to our mask, so when we, instead of trying to separate ourselves with this false mask, we just jump out of ourselves completely. And we just look at everything. And in our approach in playing, we're just there, looking at things. But at the same time, when we include all of this in the all complex ideas, in the all elements of music, this gives a very expressive approach in playing. So it's not like you're starting playing detached and just observing what you're doing, but this is initial state. It's almost like with the Google map, you can actually. So what I want basically is that in your sensation, when you're about to play, you're not standing on the ground. You actually zoom out to the point of where you can see the whole planet. It's this distance of perception. That's what I call the true voice. It's this distance of, I'm not there anymore, I'm not that human on the planet anymore.
Yeah. I even can add that this is like you and the audience are in the one single narrative, one single sujet for your role, and you together in that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
The narrator is something up. This narrator, and we live in this narrative together.
Also, I forgot to mention my teacher, when I was sitting in his classes, he used to tell it to other students as well as to me. What he was saying exactly, I don't remember, but he was saying, you're playing with too much of yourself. You're playing with too much of yourself. And he was encouraging us to find a state. He was saying, it's not you who's playing. Play not like it's not you who's playing. And try to achieve that state. It's not you who's playing. Get out of yourself. And then it will feel very easy and very, very free and calm. We want to erase any anxieties that unfortunately is glued to us. So get out of yourself. It's not you who is playing. Let's see what's gonna come through. You are there only as a channel. Not as a human being with all your experiences, with all your frustrations, with all your anxiety, with all your fears. Yeah, you channel it. You let it be through yourself, but you are not involved into it. You're rather observing how this energy going through you. You are the channel. That's all what you are. To direct. And that's what meditation teaches you to develop. Then every pain that you have is not suffering, it's just a sensation that you're observing. When you're playing with your character in a video game, when the character is injured, you're not suffering, you're just like, well, okay, he's injured and I can see blood and whatever. Maybe if you had more sensations, maybe with Google Glasses and in 100 years you will even experience that pain. But again, you experience it because that character has that pain, not you, So, you understand. versus me. And again, not to be confused, when you're going to apply, this is just a filter, this is just this detached third perception singing person. It's just the initial give a perspective that you look at everything. Again, this is such a good analogy. When you're looking at the map from the bird side, it still has all the trees and all the paths and all the lakes and little houses and villages and the map of phrasing and the colors of sound imagination and connections of intonation through rivers, But you are looking at it from above. And so eventually when you apply that higher perspective state of mind to everything that you're going to express, you will just make everything shine. Everything will be very, very expressive and free. Further, I have to even tell you, when I go on stage and play, what I can say easy to myself, maybe if I play even for a few friends, I'm still able to find that place. But when we go on stage, oh my God, the ego is just screaming how all of those hundreds of people, what they think about us. What if I'm gonna... So sometimes it's like, and it's screaming, it's like literally screaming in my head. And it takes for me much more time to die before I start playing. Because what is this? The risk is much higher, It's not like if I'm making mistake playing for myself, yeah, maybe I don't care. But if I make mistake playing at Carnegie Hall, and what the journalists are gonna write about me and all of that, like your ego really gets so big. The fear is getting so big. It's in proportion to the quantity, And so it's gonna be even harder to say it on stage. So it's really you have to. And then you know what helped me? You know what helped me in that moment? When I can't stop it. And I say myself, why am I here? For a second. And I know that in this moment, if I'm gonna start playing from that state of mind, of ego, I'm not gonna experience satisfaction of my playing. I'm here to actually channel something much bigger than I am. And actually it's a great opportunity for me to let it come through right now. And it is so much more important to me. It's almost come to decision actually. To a very clear decision that you have to take. You have to choose. And you say, no matter how much I care, no matter how much I fear, I allow it to die. Because I want something more than me. I want to experience that. And it's such a huge wave that's just going through you. But when you reach that exhale, it also feels like exhale. Then I start playing. And then I don't care about what's going to happen with my hands, where they go. All I care is to let it come through. Not to get deeper into yourself, trying to dig up some treasure, being in your false voice. You can't find your authentic true voice if you're still looking at it from the same vibration. If you're in the vibration of yourself, chances are you're probably in your false voice. So from that perception, you cannot dig deeper to find, trying to find a more authentic voice. No, you have to leave it completely, jump out of yourself. That's the only way. And then look at yourself a little bit kind of from behind, from a third person perspective. And it could feel a little bit maybe less emotional, less caring. But again, as we remember, it's just a filter. We're going to apply it to everything and all the expressions that we have in music, so it will be expressive. It will not make us play not caring. It will just give us freedom and improvisation style when we play. That in the moment, we're just listening. When you say the phrase, let's see what's gonna come through, you are listening. That's what we want to achieve. We are not talking. We are listening what's gonna come through. So when you're gonna play, I don't know, in the past, were you told by your teachers, listen yourself from outside? I have no idea what that means, but right now I just felt maybe that's what they mean, or maybe not. I don't really care. But you have to listen to, maybe not yourself from outside, but you have to listen to outside. You have to listen to what is coming through. And you are there to just follow that. And this creates a sense of improvisation in the moment. Where do I want to go? How much vibrato I'm going to give right now? Do I maybe want to play this phrase a little bit more? Or this might seem a little bit more dissolved? Or this a little bit more spontaneous and faster? Or this one a little bit more dying and slower? And so this is where your interpretation will come from that place of listening what's coming through you. What are the actual clear exercises we can do to start developing this, and then also introducing it to the whole system of playing? The exercises to develop a sense of true voice, they come basically in three parts. One is I suggest to listen to a series of meditations to find the sensation. Second is playing this certain repertoire. I made this small book, as slow as one note in 3 seconds, focusing only on expressing this new sensation through intonation and weight, meaning no sound imagination, no musicality, no hand motion even. But without any dynamics, without any rhythm, all we know is just there are notes like stars in the sky. And we try to connect them with the sensation through intonation and weight. So in the third step, yes, we gradually applying this new sensation into the whole system of playing and starting switching on gradually rhythm and sound imagination and hand motion and even other markings like articulations and phrasing. Shouldn't take more than a week really to develop this at some level, this new sensation. Let's start with just a phrase, and let's say a phrase. Let's see what's gonna come through. Let's see what's gonna come through. And I want you to say again, so I don't want you to say it, let's see what's gonna come through, putting all your worries and anxiety and fear into it. I want you to just let go, step aside and say, I'm not in the way. Let's see what's gonna come through.
Let's see what's going on come through.
Oh my God, no. Let's see what's going to come through. This is opposite to what we want. This is so being in the way of yourself, my goodness. Okay, let's see what's gonna come through. Let's see what's gonna come through. Let's see what's gonna come through. It's not about saying this phrase good enough. You quit trying. Step aside. You say, I'm not important. Because you're more interested in seeing something much bigger than you are. Let's see what's gonna come through. Even if I die, it's the death of your ego. You're facing the death of your ego. When you're facing the death, you don't care about how you look. It's like you're trying to be authentic from your false voice. You need to get out of that mask. Just jump out instead of trying to change it. Just out. I'm gonna sing twice. One, just me. Second time, out of me. Let's see the difference. Okay. See the difference?
The second time, your voice was on the back of my head. You just like was in my brain.
That's what I mean, and that's where I'm coming from. It's like I'm singing out of myself, and I have this feeling of detachment. I constantly just feel I'm behind myself. Let's try right now the second exercise. When you're just playing the notes with any finger you want, as slow as at least one note in 3 seconds. And again, even in your pose, in your position, just relax, sit in a very easy way as well. You don't exist. Before we were talking about that our hands don't exist. Now we're going with a more bigger perspective. You don't exist.
I'm not feeling that this term that I am not exist is for me well, because I am. I feel that I exist, but maybe I don't have a responsibility of what is happening. Just can watch, sit back and watch.
Exactly. Yes. You. It's also another good thing. You take away all responsibility from your playing. This is too fast. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Think about the pace.
Mm-hmm.
And think also that there is a whole world. There's a big portal between the notes. Each interval is a huge world. So I cannot see your head, but I can see your body, and I can feel that in your body you're trying to place some melody there. No, forget about it. I would suggest you to play even slower. Let's take a finger 2 or 3. Let's take finger 3. And what I want you to do, just play with right hand, but in a random distance, not necessarily who close. Because the thing is, about intonation, we feel it's easier to feel much more in a bigger interval. So we're gonna start with the most easiest way. And remember, everything without changing pedal, everything on one pedal. That again, that will inspire us to open the portal, It's not you who's playing, you listening, what's coming through. let's do that. I think it's much even easier to disconnect if you just play any note, but obviously to whichever note I felt in the moment to go, I actually intonated. So make sure you do intonation. And completely relax. See it very, very easy as well. There is a movement between the notes. And also when you intonate, just also make sure is it left or right, the note. What we really want to achieve is a complete initially very easy hand. I don't want you to this is okay amount of tension, but I don't want you to do like and just like really putting so much, into reaching the note.